It was early in the morning. The sun was just rising, and the coffee shop was getting ready for a busy working day. The inside was filled with the steam from the coffee machines, and the aroma of fresh coffee beans immediately drew you in. Among the employees, Amy was running behind the counter as usual. She was nervously pouring a few cups of coffee and glancing at the order screen. Her eyes were tired, and her hands were hurriedly capping the coffee cups. Amy was a 27-year-old young woman who had spent her life struggling. College debts, family problems, and being forced to walk away from her dreams had all contributed to her tough temperament. Today she had a different kind of tension. She was late for work in the morning, her manager had reprimanded her, and the crowd of customers was too much for her. But no one on the outside knew this. There was a hardness in Amy's eyes. The frustrations and resentments she hadn't revealed to anyone were reflected in her behavior. The door of the coffee shop opened, and in walked Mr. Samuel, a slender 68-year-old man. His gray hair was neatly combed, and he was carrying a shabby leather bag. He stood in the queue with slow steps and waited patiently. His eyes looked around politely, but no one noticed him. They just saw him as an ordinary old man. Amy didn't even look at Samuel as she took his order. Her voice was harsh and hurried. "What are you having?" she asked, frowning. "A cup of black coffee, please," Samuel said in a calm voice. Amy thought to herself as she prepared the cups. Everyone is in a hurry at this time of the morning, and this old man is slow. As she put her coffee on the counter, she called out, "Order ready, next." Samuel thanked him and took his coffee and sat down at a table in the corner. Samuel had just taken a sip of his coffee when a customer came up to him. He accidentally bumped into Samuel's cup, and the coffee spilled on the floor. Samuel politely went to ask Amy for help. "Excuse me, there's been a little accident. Can I get a new coffee?" Amy rolled her eyes, sighed. "If you spill it on the floor, that's your problem. If you want a new coffee, you'll have to pay again." Samuel, without raising his voice, said, "I understand, but it was an accident. Can't you help me?" Amy raised her voice. "Look, I can't deal with this kind of thing at this busy time. If you have a complaint, go to our manager." By this time, a sense of unease had begun to build among the customers. Everyone was noticing Amy's behavior. Just then, Jonathan, the store manager, walked in. Jonathan was in his 40s, charismatic and authoritative. His demeanor was both respectful and reassuring. His eyes fell on Amy, who was standing next to Samuel, talking angrily. He slowly approached them. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice soft but authoritative. Amy's face flushed as she realized Jonathan was there, but she tried to defend herself. "This customer spilled his coffee on the floor and wants a new one. But the rules are clear. He has to pay for it." Jonathan turned to Samuel and said gently, "Sir, I will prepare a new coffee for you. Please wait." Then he turned to Amy. "Can I see you for a second?" Amy thought to herself as she walked into Jonathan's office. Why is this such a big deal? After Jonathan closed the door, he spoke in a calm but determined voice. "Amy, I've been watching you this morning. You're not very nice to customers." Amy protested. "But Jonathan, it was busy and the customers are always asking for something. It's their fault." Jonathan's face turned serious. "Busy? Busy can be anyone's excuse. But that's not the point. Do you know Samuel?" Amy asked in surprise. "No, who?" Jonathan paused for a moment. "Samuel is my father." Amy's eyes widened. Her face went white. "Your father?" she whispered. Jonathan spoke in a heavy tone. "Yes, he is. And he's not just a customer. He's one of the most valuable people to me. I've seen the way you treat him with such contempt, and it's unacceptable." Amy's eyes filled. The tension inside her, the disappointments from the past suddenly reflected on her face. "I apologize. But when I do this job, everything comes on top of each other. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm hurting people." Jonathan, softening his voice a little, said, "Everyone can have difficult days in the past, Amy, but that doesn't give you the right to treat others badly. It's all about respecting people. Samuel may have looked like a customer, but he was actually someone who was testing you." Amy was fired from her job, but it was a turning point for her. Samuel's and Jonathan's quiet but strong stance taught her a lesson she would never forget. Months later, Amy started working in a different cafe. This time, she chose to be more humble and kind to the customers.